There is no way that Bo Burnham has not read this book. Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I wanted to talk about Bo Burnham's special Inside while painting a picture of Bo Burnham. So that's what we're going to do. I mostly wanted to talk about the one thing that I feel like no one is talking about, which is how well Bo Burnham uses color. A lot of people are talking about his lyrics, but not a lot of people are talking about his artistic choices, and I kind of wanted to touch on that a bit. So I'm going to be mostly talking about editing, camera angles, and color. Mostly this is going to be about color though. Bo has even said so himself many times that he likes to infuse his work with as much meaning as possible, and I think that it's really important to talk about this stuff because he is the editor and director of this special. Anyway, so let's take a deep dive. There's a great book that I'm reading right now. It's called If It's Purple, Someone's Gonna Die. It's by Patti Bellatoni. This book is basically about how Patti developed this whole course at the School of Visual Arts in New York, and it's about film and color, what different colors symbolize and foreshadow, but also how they make us feel. I just want you guys to know that I'm not pulling these meanings of color out of thin air or my own experiences. It's been studied, it's from the book. That being said, let's start with the color red. So our first introduction with the color red comes from when we see the title of the special Inside. It starts out in white lettering and then it turns to red. Now, there are different types of red that have all different types of meaning, but this specific type of red that he is using is a visually aggressive color. It comes forward, it makes the space look shallower than it actually is. It has the ability to raise your heart rate and anxiety level, and it can also elicit feelings of anger. I feel like this is such a great choice considering what the special is actually about. He definitely goes through bouts of anger and anxiety. We also have a whole section where he just talks about his anxiety and how he quit comedy because of it. He uses red multiple times throughout this special. He uses it in That Is How the World Works when he starts off all friendly and then he just switches when he feels like Sako is not behaving himself to this very aggressive person. He also uses it in the song Problematic. After he talks about the Aladdin costume that he wore when he was 17, we see this extreme close-up of his whole face in red. Usually extreme close-ups are used when the director wants to put you in the character's shoes and they really want you to experience what that character is experiencing and notice things that would usually go unnoticed. I feel like red here could symbolize his anger towards himself for wearing the Aladdin costume at 17, or it could symbolize his own anxiety that he's going to be called out or canceled for being problematic. I think it's the latter rather than the former. He's also shown working out a lot during this song, which I feel like working out is just symbolic of him working on himself, trying to become a better person. I feel like that's the metaphor that he's trying to use there. I also just love that the song is kind of a bop, a song that would be played in a workout class where people are trying to work on themselves. So I just kind of like love that choice. Towards the very end of the song, he says he's trying to listen. I feel like he sounds kind of frustrated there for a second. He's trying to understand what's going on and better himself from it. He even says again he wants to show how he's changed in these 5 years. He wants to show that he is trying, he is working on himself. There's literally a part in the bridge too where he's begging for forgiveness from us. The way that the camera is positioned, we're standing over him and we're in the position of power here, looking down on him, and he's asking us if we can forgive him. And we have that choice there whether or not we want to forgive him. All right, so let's move on to the color blue. Blue is said to be a passive and introspective color, a color to think but not to act. It is the quintessential color of powerlessness. Bo uses blue so many times in this special that I'm surprised that he didn't use blue for the title of Inside instead of red. I think ultimately red was the better choice, but blue's a good runner-up. Throughout this whole special, there is a sense of powerlessness and introspection. He's constantly judging himself and questioning his own motives. He just spends so much time in this internal space. A great example of how Bo uses blue effectively is in the song All Eyes on Me. This whole part gives off big concert stadium vibes. He's projected on the wall behind himself, and we're just another person in the crowd. We have another tight frame of Bo's face making direct eye contact with us, asking, are we feeling nervous? Are we having fun? There's also another time, I can't remember the name of the song, but he asks, how are we feeling? Are we enjoying the show? Throughout the special, he is constantly interacting with us. He is so aware aware of our presence. And in All Eyes on Me, he picks us up and makes us enjoy this concert. One of the things I like about this part specifically is that when he starts talking about his anxiety, we're kind of like off to the side of the stage. We're not sitting directly in front of him. We're off to the side, just kind of looking up at him. I feel like that puts us in this state of powerlessness. There's definitely a separation between the performer and us. When we are watching a performance and we see someone being vulnerable or struggling, there's really nothing that we can do for them. I mean, we can cheer and show support and be like, we're here for you, but we can't be there for him. And in that way, it makes us feel powerless. That is why blue is such a good color, though, to use here. Bo is also feeling powerless because he's talking about his anxiety and how he literally could not work or do the thing that he loved to do because of his anxiety. So all around, everyone's just feeling powerless. Blue, what a great choice. We love that choice. He also uses blue in the song FaceTime With My Mom. So in the beginning of the song, the screen closes to represent a cell phone screen, and we have two bows here. One bow is in this cell phone white light, and then the other bow is in this blue light. The bow that is in the cell phone light represents his external self, and then the bow that is in the blue light represents his internal self. All the things that Bo is actually saying and doing is done by this cell phone bow. He is the one that is acting, whereas the other bow is a lot more low-key. He's the one that's actually singing the song and not participating. He's just having an internal thought process. I also like that at the beginning of the song, he says that these 40 minutes are essential. He needs to FaceTime with his mom, and then at the end of the song he says, I wasted my time FaceTiming with my mom, which I feel like this is part of the pandemic that is captured really well. We're doing video calls with family and friends, and there are certain people in your life where the physical nature of being with that person is more important than the actual conversations you have with them. Most of the people in my life, I appreciate the conversations we have, and it was fine to FaceTime with them. With some other people, I just missed being around them more than I missed talking to them. I just wanted to be in their presence. Another time he uses blue is in the song Welcome to the Internet. Blue is the main color that he uses throughout this song, but there's other colors he uses as well. Blue works well because it's not a color of action. Apathy is a tragedy. We don't care. We can scroll through the internet for hours without being concerned for other people. We don't need to take action because usually the things we're looking at are not directly affecting our lives. I also think too that just being on the internet in general is a really internal experience. When you're on your phone, you're usually so absorbed by what is going on that you don't externally express anything. Maybe that's also why the special is called Inside and not just because of the pandemic. One of the other colors that he uses here is green. This specific type of green is meant to make us feel like we are in danger. Movies often use this color green to symbolize poison in drinks. We can associate this type of green with monsters and dragons. So this type of green is not good. I feel like though it is a good choice because the whole song is meant to make us feel uncomfortable. There is also so many camera angles in this song. It makes me feel really claustrophobic and like I'm surrounded, which I think is a pretty thoughtful choice considering Google is always listening. Hey Google. At the very end of the song, we have this huge light show with a bunch of different colors, and this part is not only visually overwhelming, but the audio becomes very layered and chaotic, and that becomes super overwhelming as well. So together, it just creates this whole overstimulating experience. And it works. Another color that he uses often is purple. Purple has religious associations. Usually when we think of the color purple, people can think of vigils, wakes, funerals. Sometimes people think of psychics and fortune tellers, but purple is also a huge signifier of death. Usually when people wear the color purple in film, it means that they're going to die. Hence the title of this book. Death doesn't have to be in a literal sense though, it could be in a metaphorical sense. It could just mean that the character is going through a huge 180, so it would be like the death of that character in a way. They've changed so much, they've gone through so much, the old character is dead. and we have something new. I think Bo more so uses it in that way. In the song Unpaid Intern, we start off with this black and white, which I feel like is the quintessential take me serious vibe, and he is playing the role of the performer here. Then we switch to a purple background where he is playing the role of the reactor to his own performance. Every single time that he starts over and reacts to his own performance, he goes through a change. He becomes more and more negative towards himself and more critical until he reaches the point where he literally can't take it anymore and he needs to stop. That is, I feel like, a great example of a huge change, and it happens pretty quickly. He starts off really happy and positive, and then at the end he just kind of ends up hating himself. Another time he uses purple is for his 30th birthday. We start out in this blue light where we're waiting for the time to change. He can enjoy the last moments of his 20s, and he's really introspective in this moment, and it's kind of sad. I think this is one of the saddest parts of the whole special, is when he's waiting to turn 30, because he just seems so down about it. Anyway, he's thinking about his 20s, he's being introspective, and then we switch to the song Turning 30. And in that song, the main colors are blue and purple. Blue, I feel like, you know, it can be him being introspective about his 20s, but I feel like it could also just symbolize the powerlessness. He can't do anything about getting older. He can't change that. It's going to happen. And then purple here, obviously symbolizing the death of his 20s, the end of his 20s, and now going on to 30. And that being a significant change in his life. There's so much more that I feel like I did not get to, but if any of you guys want to leave any comments talking about anything about this special, I mean, I would love to talk about it, clearly. I hope you enjoyed my painting that I did. Anyway, that's going to be the end of this video. If you like this video, then give it a like. If you want to subscribe, then subscribe, and I will see you next week. For I don't know what yet, but I will see you next week. Bye.